You're talking about the Section 2.
I'm talking about Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act and why it needs to be saved. And the consequences if the Supreme Court strikes down Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act.
What other consequences?
The consequences if the Supreme Court strike down the Voting Rights Act is that it will be the death knell for black America.
We won't have no
We
representation.
will have no representation. Like, for example, in South Carolina, if you get rid of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, James Clyburn will no longer be members in Congress. In my state of Missouri, Congressman Wesley Bell's district will be chopped into three pieces, which means there will be no representation in Missouri. Emmanuel Cleaver's district. In my state of Missouri, it will go from 6-2 to 8-0 Republican district. And that's just in Missouri. In Texas, for example, if you get rid of the Voting Rights Act, you will get rid of, they already blowed up Al Green's district. Imagine what would happen with people like Jasmine Crockett's district or Representative Mark Meese's district. A lot of black members will be destroyed if you get rid of the Voting Rights Act. You already destroyed Section 5, okay? Imagine if Section 2, the Republicans will blow all of black and Latino districts out of existence.
And this is something that we also have to watch because we have some true defenders out there. Mark Elias is a true defender of the act and he's been very very strategic and he's put out a lot of information to help us and to point to say, hey, you need to pay attention to this. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to pay attention to the to what they're doing on the voting rights, but also something that has been brought to our attention is the judges and their votes, how they could vote.
And Justice Clarence Thomas, that is a disgrace to Thurgood Marshall's legacy.
He's an originalist.
He's an originalist. And what does originalist really mean in the Constitution? Originalist means that women do not have a right to vote and blacks back to slavery. That's the originalist of the Constitution.
Thomas sees the Constitution as a fixed written document whose meaning does not evolve through judicial ruling, but remains anchored in the framers' desire for self-governing republic. He believes that this original design is as relevant today as it was in 1787, and that governance should be limited and checked to prevent tyranny. But that's not what we seeing him doing, because basically from his rulings, it looked like the other originalists, and let's see who they are. I think it's Brett Kavanaugh, Amy Coney Barnett,
Samuel Alito,
yeah, Alito, uh,
Neil Gorsuch.
yeah, Neil Gorsuch. These are all originalists, and they're they're kind of giving all this power over to DJT, which is who will,
Which is Donald Trump, the president of the United States.
and as they say, we can't go back. If you see something as fixed, then whatever comes out, then you're looking at the older information. You're not looking for reforms. The information that you're gathering, that you're gathering up, is still the information that you're looking at and saying, this still needs to be put in place. And we're trying to move forward. We're not trying to go backwards. But with the originalists, with those people that are originalists to the Constitution, um,
They
they
want to go back.
they want to go back, and they're not flexible. They're not really willing to adapt to changes, and this is what we have up here, because Thomas has been trying to do this for 30 years,
And
and
there's ultimate revenge for Anita Hill, too, as well.
I don't think Thomas has ever recused himself from any case that concerned a female.
None whatsoever.
Okay, then we have Justice Roberts. We're looking at the way he votes, how he would vote. And that's just us kind of talking about Section 2 voting rights, um, amendments, VRA.
And Justice Roberts has been against the Voting Rights Act since the 1980s when he was a lawyer during the Reagan administration.
But they said that Chief Justice Roberts is not generally considered a pure originalist. Now that don't fly well with me. He don't consider himself as a pure originalist, but the way he votes sometimes, because he even Mark Elias mentioned that one time they was winning, and then all of a sudden when the big cases come up, and this is a big case, and it seems like Robert seems to swing on the big cases. He give us some of the breadcrumbs, but when something big comes up, here we go.
We got to vote with the conservatives, and this is a very big situation.
Now, it has been research and analysis that has showed that the judicial philosophy shows that moderate originalists at best has often acted conditionally in applying to originalism, practically in high profile or salient cases. And the case coming up is high profile. That's kind of got me really weird. Roberts strategically uses originalist reasoning to buttress uh, controversial opinions when the nation is paying close attention, but he tends to shy away from strict originalism in other contexts. He has stated that the judges are like umpires who apply the rules rather than make them, but his actual judicial practice reflects a more pragmatic and sometimes restrained approach to originalism. Roberts, along with Justice Samuel Alito, has been described as following original meaning primarily in cases of first impressions, but he does not consistently apply originalism as a sole guiding principle. Unlike Justice Clarence Thomas and Neil Gorsuch, who are strongly originalists, Roberts tend to balance originalist reasonings with precedents and other judicial considerations. During his confirmation hearing, Roberts did not claim the originalist label, and they never claimed, because they sit there and said, "We're not going to, you know, we're not going to claim any of these." When we answer your questions, they had us thinking that they was going to do one thing, and they lied.
They lied under oath in the United States Senate, and they did something else. If we would have lied under oath to the FBI, we'll be going to prison.
It said Roberts did not claim the originalist label and has generally avoided embracing originalism as his main judicial philosophy. Instead, he often relies on history and tradition, but with what some describe as a John Roberts spin or a tendency toward judicial restraint rather than strict adherence to originalist doctrine. Overall, Roberts can be characterized as a pragmatic, moderate originalist who selectively applies originalist principles but does not fully embrace originalism as a rigid method of constitutional interpretation. And like I said, this case is really big that's coming up
Now,
before the
now,
Supreme Court, which is be in October.
now, October the 15th will be the first day of oral arguments.
So you got what? You got Thomas, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, who is it?
Amy Coney Burnett.
That's four right there. So here we are, Roberts. We're looking at you. We're looking at you. We know the deal. We know the drill. And you tend to swing on, just like you said, the other act that,
The Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act. He did the same thing with the Voting Rights Act, and knowing what Roberts is going to do, he's
you know, we're looking at this closely because he has said, but he acts in a different way. You know.
watch what they do. Look at their history.
Yeah.
Look at their history.
And so we've been looking at the judges' voting history. We've been looking at different cases and how they vote, because that is very important. And Roberts, for as like I said, he'll shoot us some breadcrumbs, but on a bigger case, he'll step out there and he'll strike down. He struck down, like they say,
He struck down Roe versus Wade too.
he struck down. They said that they would never touch Humphrey's executive.
He's
But
gonna
they
strike-
went in there and they did that.
Under
and
the
that was-
shadow docket, and then they're going to do it again in the regular docket as well.
and that's what's horrible, because they're trying to give all this power, and I think Clarence Thomas is just stuck in the 10th Amendment. The 10th Amendment was supposed to be the checks and balances between state, federal government, federal and state, and he's stuck in. If the Constitution is fixed, then he don't think that nobody should have that power. That power should be willed to what? An oligarch, you know. So that's kind of what we've been looking at. But in the meantime, we got to keep all eyes on this case. This is very important. These are our rights, and all eyes on you, Roberts, because you've done a lot of things and said a lot of things, and you went out there on a on the limb. You like held like a big seminar or whatever that was, and you sit up and said that you feared that that our rights, that the people's rights were in danger. Well, hell, they in danger because you endangered it.
You in danger. He is the modern day John Tyranny of the Supreme Court. And if you look,
You know, but he basically told people that yeah, we in danger, but
but you're
why?
the one. Why is that? Because you're the one that you created that danger in the first
With the
place.
immunity given all this power. Now, what you got to think about, and maybe here's some pressure because we the people have to hold you accountable. It's time to hold the people on the Supreme Court accountable because if you want to be stuck over there, and your legacy goes off with somebody that has released a person that's that has been sentenced, and you want to be stuck over there with with this pedophile activity, and this is going to be part of your legacy. All the things that you all have done to we the people has been horrible.
It's worse than horrible. It's evil. It is evil. It is collective punishment. It's a war crime.
When they say, when they talk about federalism, that's the side that he's supposed to be on, but that's not what um he has showed us. Not at all.
You can't trust this guy.
You know,
You cannot trust him. And another one is more dangerous.
I, I can see the stress that Mark Elias, many people are up under. Um, I looked at a we looked at his video, Mark Elias. He's definitely a favorite of eyes, and we want to give a great, we pay homage to Sky Perriman that was on his show, and we're looking at all of this information. Yep, I can walk and chew bubble gum too. I was over there looking at Epstein, but I'm also looking at these judges, how these judges vote, looking at their history. We're looking at it all. We're looking at it all because they got up there and they said that they would not mess with a lot of the precedents.
And they mess with precedent. In this Supreme Court, they don't respect precedent. They don't.
But see, that's it. So maybe what me and Bond would plan to do is make draw up us a case and you know and say it live and let everybody know that hey, this is what you're looking at. These are the judges. These are who the originals. This is the person that um, is considered Roberts was considered
A moderate.
a he's not, yeah, he was considered a moderate, but yeah, he didn't swung a little bit too far. And so like um in this decision of our voting rights, do your homework, do some research, do the research on these justices, and if we can, hold their feet to the fire. Let them know that you didn't put somebody and gave them immunity, power. You when you took out Chevron deference, that was our air, water, and the food that we eat, and all the agencies under there that no longer have regulations. That you would do the regulation. Your job was to do interpreting. Ain't nobody told you to go over there and get rid of all of the people that are intellectual. You did that when you turned around and you did Humphrey's executive. You basically said that the president has the right to get rid of anybody. Congress that's why Congress have been afraid to say anything because now that their power has been ceded over to 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 give to him. But what they don't know is the Supreme Court. That power, and they're drunk with power right now because they didn't have as much power as they did. That power has been ceded, has been taken away when they got Humphrey's executive taken out. Then The Supreme Court came into more power, stripping Congress of a lot of powers because those agencies no longer had the ability to speak out. So we're watching this shit, and we're watching you,
And they
and we're
already stripped the lower courts as well. The
that's
lower
right.
courts are doing its job. They're being overruled. So they're not only just going after just Congress and the agencies, they're taking away the lower courts as well.
Yeah, they're taking away their ability to rule because you got people like Thomas, Gortridge, Barrett, Kavanaugh, and any meeny mighty mo the way he swing, uh, that on big cases. Because I'm sitting up here thinking the last time he did this shit, then he pulled out a rabbit out his ass, and then he went with them. So we kind of figuring out, how this looks. It's hide and seek and give us crumbs, but things on major that you want that the Justice Roberts want done is okay. We got a vessel, and we can get all our shit done through this vessel. We have our own agenda, like other people have their agenda in the administration to use this person to get rich, and that's a shame. It's a shame. And that's what has been going on with our nation. Sure, it's the blab blab poo poo. Uh, this is his footprint, and Orban's footprint too.
And also getting Yahoo in Israel as well.
But
Netanyahu.
Orban was like, we're gonna take the judicial out, and they're gonna make the same mistake, and we've seen it. We've seen it.
And that's what they're doing. That's what they did in Hungary. That's what they're trying to do in Israel. Was trying to take away the Supreme Court's power in
But
Israel as well.
but
We're heading down that road. We're
but
already on that road.
but don't get discouraged because it's up to we the people. Um, we was looking at TYT the other day, and Anna on TYT was frustrated because she felt that the Democrats was weak and wasn't doing their job. Well, young lady Anna, I got something to tell you. It ain't the Democrat. It's gonna be we the people. That's what you got to come to terms with. It's gonna be we the people.
It's not going to be no
'Cause
politician that's going to save you.
We
Okay?
we have to
It's
hold.
like
It's the people that have to hold. They have to hold the line, and we can't fold. We can't fold. I know they're saying, well, the Democrats is weak. Some of them came back. We're not dependent on the Democrats. We're not. Once you get that out your head, you will figure it out.
we're
It
not
is
dependent.
we the people.
It's yourself, it's your own agency that's going to save us. Okay? It's like Bernie Sanders even said, when you're going against those corporate Democrats, go to a Democratic meeting. It's easy to take over the party. Run your own candidates. It's easy, actually. If you're very active.
And we have
You
to
got to be your own leader. It's called the man in the mirror strategy. Look at you yourself.
and we have to hold the judges accountable, because if you don't have the information out there to understand what they're doing undercover, then they think they can get away with it, and so, so it's up to we the people to find out as much information how they vote. Who's the originalist, who's the modernist, or who goes under federalism or whatever. That's up to us to do that, and maybe we got from now until what, October.
To October 15th, that will be the first big case, and that was Louisiana case because the consequences of of going the wrong way, the consequences of it is the death of Black America.
And I think the best thing to do is, and this is just a strategy. That's us saying that once you understand the Constitution, they're right. We ain't gonna ask you to be a constitutional lawyer. Hell, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm paying attention. We've looked at this over the years. We've looked at things get chopped away, and so
And they chip it away, chip it away, chip it away, and it's death by a thousand cut strategy. They chip it away, slower, 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 and then they finally go to the big way. The same thing they did with Roe, where they chip it away, chip it away, chip it away, and then the final big case. Same thing's happening with the Voting Rights Act. What they did was they chip it away, chip it away, chip it away, chip it away, and then the final big act will be the beginning, which is October the 15th. It is a pattern of behavior.
Yes, we have to look at their
They
pattern.
have to look at the pattern of behavior to see where to predict. To predict the future, you need to look to pattern of behavior to predict the future.
And one thing about it, a lot of the things that they're going along with is because, like I said, even with Epstein, it's not gonna go away because we got Kavanaugh up there. Okay, they pushed his shit back and had it. Mitch McConnell and them. We got
And
Thomas up there with Hill. It's never going to go away because we got to look into the faces of people that's supposed to be in their mode, in their black robes, and they're not clean themselves. They're not clean.
they're not only they're not clean, they're the collaborators. They're like quizzenders. Yeah, that's what they are. They're collaborators.
So we're looking at it, and you know, it's important that you guys look at it. Look at how Robert's been voting. Look at the cases. To the talk shows, they bringing it out. A lot of information they think might be a little bit too complex or complicated, but if you pay attention and follow along, because we have Legal AF over there killing the game. Shout out to Legal AF. Shout out to the Midas Touch Network. Shout out to Brian Tyler Cone, Adam Mockler. These are channels. The Democracy Doctor with Mark Alliance. You have channels out there. I hop. I no.
I
I had
hip.
I hip. I had enough. You have so many channels out there that's pushing out true information, that's giving us the facts, that when we go over on the other side, there are things that they're not giving us. Just the other day, there was a headline that popped up. The headline was, and you can look it up, it was about Kavanaugh. And Kavanaugh said that,
We don't have to explain
we don't
nothing.
have to explain nothing to the people.
Nothing.
Nothing. Now look it up. Look it up. Like I said, we didn't come up here to play. We came up here because we're worried about our rights. Now, if you all want to carry on and make your content, do that. But we got to fight. This is a for real fight. We're in for a real fight. There are people that voted their hatred. There are people that voted their misogynistic ways. There were people that voted to have a grand leader follow them. But now you won't even be able to vote that because your voting rights will be taken away.
Not only your voting rights be taken away, your economic rights are going to be taken away. You cannot separate the two. The biggest mistake that we made was separating economic rights and voting rights. You cannot separate them. It is combined into one. Because when you lose your voting rights, you lose your right to economic self-determination as well. You cannot have economic determination without voting determination. You need both.
And one of the things that I want to bring home again, Thomas' central thesis is that true equality and justice flows from the original principles of America, which holds that all men are created equal, and that's what his book Created Equal, and you can believe that if you want to, and I read that too, and are inherently endowed with rights, which rights that he's trying to strip us of, so he's speaking out the side of his neck, a position he champions through both his life story and his jurisprudence. No. That's
No,
that no.
that's a lie right there. Because if you really look at the founding of America, America was founded through slaves. Look at Washington, D.C., that's occupied right now. Washington, D.C. was built through slaves. Okay? Some of the states like Texas was stolen territory through the Native Americans. So to say that we're equal, no, America was never equal in the first place. That is a lie.
One of his quotes was, "If you criticize a black person who is more liberal than you're racist, whereas you can do whatever to me or to now Ben Carson, and that's fine because you're not really black." Well, we know he ain't never been black because you're not doing what we expect black people to do. So I'm just saying, we're looking at more than just the Voting Rights Act. We're looking at and doing research on how the Supreme Court, we already know four of what they call the what will.
The originalists, which they want to go back to the days where blacks were slaves, women didn't have a right to vote, and there's even one pastor that's even advocating for getting rid of women's right to vote already.
And like Tupac say, all eyes on you, Roberts. Because it's a lot to sit up and have given somebody power that could not really do what he have done and ran this country in the ground and have 31 of our allies, that I hope haven't turned against us, but it would be hard for anybody to trust us. But the courts gave that power. Mitch McConnell had the right to take my boy out, but he did not. And there goes his damn legacy. And all the people that have voted for the big disastrous bill, there goes their legacy. Because all the things that you've seen take action or come into play, what happened? What happened? Now you got to live with that legacy. Who the hell is going to vote for somebody that ain't going to show no transparency, not give even MAGA information?
I could give you an answer.
Not give MAGA information, not give the public information. Hell, this was they conspiracy theory, you know. But as Kavanaugh say, we ain't got to answer to you. We don't have to answer to you.
We got Supreme Court justice for life, and that's another thing we need to be talking about. Term limits on the courts, so that way they don't have lifetime positions in the first place.
And before I go, before we get off of here, shout out to the 3 people that's up there really fighting for our rights. They are Moody.
They are Kajanji Brown Jackson. There are Justice Aleda Kagan and Justice Sana Sotomayor. They're the ones and the liberals that have been fighting for the rights and giving us warnings to what is going on. Read their dissents. And if you look at their dissents, it is very powerful.
Can you even imagine going to work? And these are supposed to be Supreme Court justices that you sitting across from that has participated in forcing women to do things that they don't want to do. And I told you that's why Epstein ain't going to go away. They looking at their colleagues across the aisle that has done things and have been hidden. And these ladies got to work with them. Okay, they got to work with them and know that they're not right in their white ivory tower. So, these are the people that's saying that they're protecting their rights. I don't think so. I don't think so. And maybe they can go along with Jelaine shit. Maybe they can go along with her being pardoned. But they got to live this shit out for the rest of their life. And you know what? Come to play, it fucks up their legacy. Mitch's legacy gone. All the people that came out on the bill, their legacy gone. They know their bills are unpopular. That's why they're trying to gerrymander Texas and all these other places.
So
because what they did was an unpopular move. And the people got to suffer. Now the people have woke up and like, oh, hell no, we in red states. Oh, hell no, we MAGA, and we going to get our food stamps taken away. Oh, hell no, you gave this man this kind of power? This is the person that you think should have all this power without anybody questioning him? Shit. On that note, we're out of here.
We're out of here.